So by now it is not a big secret that I make videos about power scaling. I do have a little confession to make though. I think power scaling is kind of stupid. Don't get me wrong though, it may be stupid, but it is also incredibly fun to do. Comparing two fictional characters and have them just duke it out does make for a pretty fun pastime. But there are just a couple of problems I have with the topic that can just completely ruin the fun of doing it in the first place. For this video I thought that it would be, fun for me to just rant for a bit about the issues I have with power scaling in general and issues specifically catered towards power scaling with Dragon Ball in it. Do note that this video is just my opinion on the subject matter. Like I said before, even though I have some issues with the whole power scaling thing, I still find it to be a very fun thing to do. And I won't stop doing it for a good time to come, so please don't get too offended by this video. So first off, I want to talk about some of the issues I have with power scaling in the the broadest possible spectrum. The biggest issue probably being that it can honestly never and just will never be accurate. Now, what do I mean by this? For example, let's take Goku from Dragon Ball and Ichigo from Bleach. When comparing these two, the obvious choice of victory would be Goku, right? Like, nobody would probably say Ichigo. I think pretty much everyone would say Goku. And whilst I do agree with the outcome, I don't think the way people reach it is always fair or accurate. People need to realize that two completely different universes that were written to never interact with each other cannot be easily compared like 1, 2, 3. We all always use terms like city level, planetary, universal, etc. But being universal in Dragon Ball might be completely different to being universal in, say, Bleach or Madoka Magica or God of War, etc. Are these universes equal in size? Are these planets just as durable across all these universes, etc.? The simple answer is that we don't have an answer. Like, anyone who claims to have intricate knowledge of these facts is just straight up lying. Sailor Moon being universal in her own universe might translate to her being barely planetary in Bleach, or maybe she would end up being way stronger in Bleach, who knows? We tend to just draw all of them on one line and use terms like planetary and universal after we pick one of the two entries to use as the leading metric. And I will freely admit that I do the exact same thing. I usually use the metrics from Dragon Ball as the baseline. In my series X vs Dragon Ball, I always grab an anime or franchise and just pitch it up against Dragon Ball. During these videos, I try to adapt the challenges to the Dragon Ball power metric. The main reason for this is that it provides a relatively consistent baseline across all of these videos. But it does mean I might not translate powers completely accurately. The simple truth of the matter is that not a single one of these franchises has been written with the intent of being compared to another one in a versus battle of sorts. There is actually just so much information missing that creating a completely accurate versus scenario is just plain impossible. The durability of materials, the gravity, the size of things, the durability of things, the effectiveness of certain powers in other anime, like etc. No matter how much we cope, there is no way to truly compare these franchises to one another with true 100% accuracy. And this brings us to an issue that is more relevant to people who actually create the content itself, like for example me. No matter what arguments we make, no matter what results we decide on, we will never be able to satisfy everyone with the results. The simple fact is that we are putting two franchises up against one another, which means that the losing franchise's fandom will probably hate our guts for it. And I fully understand that this is really a luxury issue that creators like me face far more frequently, don't worry. I just wanted to mention that these types of videos and discussions always result in about half of its viewers just being discontent with the results. It's really impossible to avoid. But power scaling has many more of these types of issues that people just tend to kind of ignore because accepting them would make things just infinitely more difficult for all aspects of power scaling in general. And for the last real complaint I have with power scaling in general before we dive into the Dragon Ball specifics, people just take this stuff way too seriously. Like, making their favorite character lose a fight is akin to losing their entire family and livelihood in a house fire. Nothing can hurt these guys more than uttering the ultimate phrase, Goku wins. Just mentioning the fact that their favorite character would not be able to beat Goku is the single biggest blow to their lives they have ever felt, and I just don't get it. I love Dragon Ball myself. One of my favorite characters from Dragon Ball is Captain Ginyu, and I understand fully well that there are tons of characters that could beat him. Like, it's not a big secret. The same thing with Goku. He is very strong, but depending on how you interpret certain powers and abilities, there are a metric ton of characters that could just kick his ass. But I don't get mad or butthurt when people give their arguments for my favorite characters losing a fight. If someone tells me character X could beat Ginyu because of argument A and argument B, I just go, damn, that's actually pretty sick. Like, I never would have thought character X had it in them. Like, hell yeah, good for them. I just don't understand getting so upset at your character losing a fight. It is okay if your favorite character loses just once in a while. Hell, Ginyu is one of my favorites and he just gets pummeled to hell and back in his own universe, like he doesn't really win a lot. Do let me note that I do understand being a tad bit ticked off if every single argument is just complete bull. I mean, obviously that's annoying. In that case, just feel free to correct people, me included, with a constructive comment with no foul language if possible. And people should also understand the difference between a bad argument that has no credibility or research behind it at all, and an argument you just personally don't like. Understanding that difference and just being able to hold a normal civil conversation about it really does separate the, and excuse my language, idiots from the normal people. But let's talk about some of the things that I personally just despise about power scaling with Dragon Ball in specific. As you all know, I make a lot of videos involving Dragon Ball and power scaling as the leading roles in said videos. And let me start big with a take that will just get me crucified for sure, but I'm still going to talk about it. Power levels are not nearly as good as a measuring scale as people seem to think they are. And I know, power levels are bullshit, haha, Team 4-star viewer, blah blah blah. But I'm serious. They did not stop throwing power levels on everyone just for no reason. Let me just list some power level entries, which are considered official by the way, to just show my point with a little example. During the Pilaf saga in OG Dragon Ball, the Daisenshu 7 lists Goku's power level at 10, whilst at the same time the official movie 6 pamphlet shows that Oolong and Puar also have a power level of 10 during the Pilaf saga. So according to these two official sources, Goku was just as strong as Oolong was during the Pilaf saga. Another example, during the Tien Shinhan saga, it shows Roshi having a power level of 139 according to the Daisenshu 7. This is important because Roshi destroyed the moon and is the first planet destruction event in the series. According to this metric, any Dragon Ball character with a power level of over at least 139 should theoretically be considered a moon buster. Another example being the Raditz saga. Raditz has 3 official entries for what his power level was. The manga itself put him at 1200, the Daisenshu 7 put him at 1500, and the official movie 20 information card put him at 1600. So backtracking a bit to the fact that Roshi's power level of 139 was able to blow up the entire moon, this would logically mean that even if Raditz holds over 3/4 of his power back, he should be able to wipe continents off the face of the earth. Yet all we see him really do is blow up a small mountain. During the Vegeta saga, Yajirobe was stated to have a power level of 970 according to the Daisenshu 7. And yet Yajirobe is not shown to be able to use any form of ki at all. And don't even get me started on the Frieza soldiers during the Namek saga. These guys have power levels starting from around 1500. Pretty much each and every one of these guys should be able to at least just bust smaller moon-like planets. But these guys are walking around with pea shooters because they can't seem to fire ki on their own. Sure, this could be a species-related thing that was never explained, but even their punches should be able to wipe cities off the planet. I mean, come on guys. Even the math behind stuff like Zenkai Boost just sucks ass. Vegeta was at around 20,000 whilst fighting Recoome according to the original volume 23, and he was at nearly 30,000 according to the Kanzenban version of volume 23. Brushing aside the fact that we once again have two contradicting numbers for a minute, Vegeta sprung all the way up to 250,000 after being kicked to the curb by Recoome according to a V-Jump article. Somehow getting his ass kicked increased his power by at least 12.5 times. Now I am fully aware that Zenkai Boosts are just plot devices to just keep the Saiyans up to date with the villains, but they could have at least added some sort of consistency as to the amount of times a Saiyan's power increases after having a Zenkai Boost. But there is no such thing at all. There's absolutely no consistency with Zenkai Boosts whatsoever. To me, power levels are just simply not the end-all be-all way to measure the powers of characters in Dragon Ball. Another thing that often annoys me is that people consider both Roshi from the World Tournament and Frieza from Namek to be planetary. Roshi destroyed the moon with a power level of 139. The moon is about 4 times smaller than the Earth, so let's say you'd need a power level of at least 556 to destroy a planet like the Earth. This would mean Frieza could destroy a total of 215 Earths if he fired off an attack at his maximum power level of 120 million. This would mean that Frieza could destroy at least 23 copies of our own solar system if we count the sun as a planet in one go. video. Having both of these characters be consistently placed in the same kind of like power bracket of planetary is just unbelievable to me. And I will absolutely die on this hill. Power levels are a decent indication of approximate strength, but they are by no means sacred text because in a lot of cases they flat out suck. Looking at actual feats a character performs and what unique abilities they have is a much better metric if you ask me. Once again, they didn't drop them for no reason, guys. They dropped them because even they thought it sucked. Another issue with this topic is that Dragon Ball is conveniently pretty much the only show that uses a numerical system for their power levels like this, at least in the earliest stages of the show. No other shows really did this because they knew it would just cause trouble the longer they would use it. Using power levels is like just waiting for a complete barrage of inconsistency to pop up. Just imagine the nightmare of having to slap a specific power level on every character in every saga of One Piece over and over and over again. It would just not work in the long run. And let me be the first to say that I am also guilty of this. I also use the power levels in Dragon Ball as a kind of baseline metric for my power scaling. But I do always try to stick to only the manga as my reference material. And I also try to incorporate and showcase special abilities more, like having the ability to seal people or having the ability to instant kill people like Devilman. Like, I think those things are much more important than a numerical power level which just contradicts itself through multiple official entries. And once again, whilst I have issues with power scaling, I still find it super fun to do. I just wish that more people would do it because it's fun, not because they want to have their character beat everyone. It's okay if Goku loses some fights. Goku himself would love losing to a strong opponent so he could train to be better. Take Goku's example, don't be a sore loser. Just enjoy the video and formulate your own theories to engage in proper discussions. That's what the comment section is there for. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. It really does mean a lot to me that people are actually listening to my annoying rants from time to time. Be sure to leave a like and comment your opinion on the topic down below. Subscribe if you haven't already so you never miss another video, and just stay healthy. I will see you all again in the next video. Peace out.